NFL Hall of Famer and commentator Michael Irvin just filed a $100 million defamation lawsuit against the Marriott Hotel employee who accused him of misconduct and the hotel chain that employed her. In this video, you're going to learn everything you need to know about that lawsuit. Now, before we get started, let me give a quick disclaimer. This video is not legal advice. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Michael Irvin was the star wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys in the 90s. He won 3 Super Bowls during his 11-year career and is regarded by many as one of the best wide receivers to ever play the game. In 2007, he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He's currently an analyst on the NFL Network. The NFL Network reportedly pulled Irvin from its coverage of the Super Bowl after a woman at a Marriott Hotel who worked there made an unspecified complaint of misconduct against him. The hotel employees reportedly accused Irvin of some form of misconduct during a short encounter with her in the hotel lobby. The following video was posted to Twitter of Irvin in that hotel bar lobby area chatting with fans.
We come out the truth. You don't want to talk about kids. They don't talk about all.
So here we have the complaint that Michael Irvin filed on February 9th, 2023 in this lawsuit for defamation and tortious interference of an existing business contract. That would be the contract between Irvin and the NFL Network. And as you can see here, the female employee who is his accuser is listed as Jane Doe to protect her identity. Now, let's take a look at the introduction here on the first page of the original petition or complaint. It states that actions have consequences. Rash and thoughtless actions can have severe consequences. Marriott apparently did not appreciate these simple truths when, in a rush to judgment, its employees and management inaccurately and inflammatorily accused Mr. Irvin of misconduct to the NFL. While staying at the Marriott's Renaissance Phoenix Hotel and Spa in Arizona for his duties covering the Super Bowl for the NFL Network, Mr. Irvin had a brief, friendly interaction with a Marriott employee lasting no longer than 1 minute. Witnesses have verified that Mr. Irvin casually exchanged pleasantries with one of the hotel employees. Mr. Irvin shook her hand and went to his room alone. Then on the next page, page 2, it continues. Marriott recklessly reported to the NFL that Mr. Irvin had somehow acted inappropriately, even though in this brief interaction with multiple witnesses, nothing took place other than a friendly interaction that ended with a polite handshake. What came after has devastated Mr. Irvin personally and professionally, as he was pulled from Super Bowl coverage and multiple media outlets reporting that it was due to misconduct involving a female hotel employee. Even after being offered multiple witnesses to confirm the propriety of plaintiff's behavior at all times, Marriott refuses to address and cure the situation, just as they refuse to investigate the matter before reporting it to the NFL. The Marriott has decided that allowing Mr. Irvin's relationship with the league and its network to continue to deteriorate is worth the cost of not having to admit its own mistake. That's a hot take right there for sure. Mr. Irvin looks forward to introducing facts that will clear his name in the court and hopes the court of public opinion will see the truth from the facts in this case. And then right here, it states in paragraph 1.02 that Irvin seeks monetary relief in excess of $100 million. He seeks $100 million or more from this lawsuit. So that is quite a large sum of money. And take that with a grain of salt, though, because these numbers are somewhat arbitrary. Here, I think he's trying more to make a statement that will catch the media's attention with the $100 million figure, not so much as claiming that this is the amount I'm actually owed. Now, moving on to the third page, we get into the juicy portion of the complaint. It is the facts section. In paragraph 4.01, it states, in February 2023, Irvin traveled to Phoenix to work as a sports commentator for the Super Bowl and ESPN. He was scheduled to appear on several popular sports commentary shows and appearances in the days leading up to the Super Bowl, and he was going to comment live during the Super Bowl game itself. He was told by the NFL to stay at the local Marriott Hotel, a Renaissance. Then it says the night of February 5th, 2023, when returning to the hotel that evening, he was met by many fans that wanted to talk to him. And I believe that's what is depicted in the video on Twitter that we saw earlier. It says that he shook their hand, he had brief conversations with the fans, and took photographs with them. He was described as jovial and gracious and behaved like you see him on TV by witnesses. Now, TMZ Sports was able to interview several, or at least two, gentlemen who claim to have witnessed an interaction between Irvin and one of the female hotel staff members. So let's take a look at some of the highlights from the TMZ witness interview videos.
Somebody that worked there, I don't know if it was a waitress or bartender, came up and said, "Oh, hey, Michael Irvin." And he said, "Oh, it's nice to meet you. I'm Michael," shook her hand. And the crazy part is it was like a 30-second interaction. Maybe it could have been a minute. Guys, I didn't really think much of it because it was just fan kind of thing.
Yeah. You said she could have been like an employee of the hotel?
Yeah, she had a uniform on. So I don't know if she was a waitress or a bartender, but she was just in that lounge area or whatever. It was a crowded bar. And she was at kind of the corner where the bar was, came around the corner and said, "Hey, Michael Irvin." He said, "It's nice to meet you." We shook her hand. And it was about a 30-second interaction that was jovial, like a fan interaction. And that was it. And then he went and she went back to work. It was a quick conversation in a crowded area. He went on his way. I never really thought about it again. And she went back to work. He went upstairs. And then when I read that it was that he was like taken off of or canceled from like the NFL Network or whatever, it just was like mind blowing that happened so quickly off a 30-second conversation where it was normal. I didn't get it. So
wow.
Now let's hear from the second witness that TMZ Sports interviewed about this incident. Here,
I was at the back of the group as we re-entered the lobby. So I saw Michael. He was heading towards the lifts, and then he gets called back by a young lady just to say hello. And
did you hear like exactly what happened?
Or
what was said?
It was a very
hear?
It was a positive, friendly conversation.
Yeah.
They had a brief interaction. It was 30, 40 seconds. He kept his distance at all time. Stood about a meter away from her. They ended it with a handshake, and he literally turned around and went back to the lift. There was a little bit of laughter. Obviously, jovial conversation. Nothing untoward for me to actually take notice of what was going on.
So there's not even like, did she react in any? There's no way that she reacted uncomfortably at all.
No, not in my opinion. Like, she turned around, after the conversation, she went back into the bar area or around the bar area, and everyone continued their evening. It was nothing that I witnessed that was untoward whatsoever.
now that you've heard from the witnesses, let's continue reading through Michael Irvin's complaint in his defamation case against the Jane Doe defendant and the Marriott Hotel. In paragraph 4.04, it states that after these pleasant interactions with fans as well as the hotel employee, plaintiff went up to his room alone and went to sleep without incident. And this next part is the part that actually shocks me a little bit about how they handled this with a celebrity TV personality and one of their guests. It states that having struggled to sleep well for the past several days due to recent death of his mother-in-law, plaintiff Irvin was finally able to get some sleep, only to be shockingly woken up by a crew of security to remove him from the hotel without any explanation or questions. Plaintiff was judged guilty without even knowing the accusations. A few days later, plaintiff was removed from his scheduled programming and essentially kicked off the air and canceled due to these allegations. Now, I can't imagine what would go through a hotel manager's mind that he would drag one of the guests out of their room with security guards, wake them up in the middle of the night because of an allegation like this. Certainly, there was no threat to the health or safety of anybody in the building. So this seems like a major overreaction. If this is actually true, then Marriott, you are in a lot of trouble. This is not a good look at all. Now, moving on to paragraph 4.05, it states that over the last 24 hours, several witnesses have come forward to further support these allegations are false, and they are now the basis of this instant lawsuit. So I underlined these allegations and put what allegations, as you'll see in a second. I am somewhat critical of the wording of this complaint because it's unclear what the allegations are here. Paragraph 4.06 reads that evidently, as plaintiff was sleeping, one of the managers of the hotel reported false information to the NFL about the plaintiff, accusing him of improper behavior towards a hotel employee. The NFL responded by removing plaintiff from all scheduled programming surrounding the Super Bowl. Plaintiff's representatives have reached out to the hotel and even met in person to obtain clarity about this situation and provide witnesses and resolve this matter before plaintiff's reputation could be damaged any further, but to no avail. Then it says at the time that the manager contacted the NFL, he was aware that plaintiff had an ongoing contractual relationship with the NFL. He contacted the NFL with the intention of damaging that relationship and canceling plaintiff. And that, of course, allegation is relevant to Irvin's tortious interference with an existing contractual relationship claim. These false statements have caused over $100 million in damages to the plaintiff's reputation and existing high-profile endorsements, appearances, and other similar contracts. So now that we have reviewed the highlights from Irvin's complaint, let me share a few of my thoughts about this complaint and the case in general. Irvin's complaint has raised more questions in my mind than it answers. First, the complaint only states that the hotel manager accused Irvin of improper behavior. It does not, however, describe what exactly the manager said to the NFL Network or what the Jane Doe defendant said to her hotel manager about Irvin. Improper behavior could mean any number of things. It could mean that Irvin made a crude joke, used offensive language, things that aren't necessarily a basis for a defamation claim. If somebody has subjectively felt like Irvin acted improperly in some way, then that's their subjective opinion. That's not a statement of fact, and that would not serve as the basis for a defamation claim. However, if that improper behavior was some sort of improper touching or other type of physical assault, well, that's accusing somebody of criminal behavior, and a criminal accusation, if false, definitely does serve as the basis for a defamation claim. And so we saw exactly that in the Brett Favre case. If you have not seen that video, I'll put a link up there in the window. Go check it out. Now, to be fair to Irvin's attorney, it may be that neither Irvin nor his attorney know exactly what was said yet by the Jane Doe defendant to her hotel manager, or what exactly the hotel manager told the NFL Network. Once Irvin finds this information out, he will likely have to file an amended complaint. That means a revised complaint describing exactly what was said by the Jane Doe defendant employee, as well as what the manager that she said that to told the NFL Network. Irvin will then have to prove that those statements are in fact false. Second, it's possible that Irvin's alleged improper behavior was an incident, an interaction with a hotel employee other than the interaction that the TMZ witnesses saw. Second, it's possible that there were multiple interactions between Irvin and female staff members at this hotel he was staying with. The TMZ witnesses both seem to describe a single interaction, and Irvin's complaint seems to describe that exact same interaction that happened in the hotel lobby. What if there was another interaction that is actually the basis of the accusations against Irvin? It's unclear whether or not that is a possibility. Perhaps the misconduct happened during an entirely separate interaction between Irvin and the hotel employee. Now, I don't know this for a fact, and I'm completely speculating, but if I were Irvin's attorney, the first thing that I would be doing, and I'm sure he is doing this, is making a timeline with Irvin and everybody else of every single interaction that he had from check-in to check-out at that hotel, and then interviewing everybody who was present during that interaction that I could find, as well as gathering whatever evidence I could about what was said, what was done, when it happened, where it happened, who might have seen it, whether there are security cameras around. I would want to know all of that in order to determine, is there a entirely different interaction that might have happened between Irvin and a staff member, other than the completely harmless interaction that happened in the lobby that all of these witnesses are coming out and talking about how he was completely courteous and fine. Third, if the accusation of improper behavior that Irvin allegedly engaged in does in fact stem from his interaction with the staff member in the lobby that all of the witnesses observed, and it sounded completely friendly and non-threatening, non-offensive, then I am shocked that the Marriott Hotel has not retracted its manager's statement, sooner has not publicly apologized to Irvin for its behavior of its overzealous manager, and that it has not gone to the NFL Network and asked to put Irvin back on TV. According to Irvin's complaint, however, the Marriott has stonewalled his attorney's request for clarification about the allegations of misconduct that the Jane Doe defendant has leveled against him and that the hotel manager leveled against him. One other thing that came to mind when I was watching this is that Irvin filed his defamation complaint just days after Brett Favre filed his defamation complaints and lawsuits. Favre's defamation lawsuits seem to help Favre's image in the public and the narrative surrounding the scandal that he's involved in. Finally, the Dallas Morning News reported that the Marriott company has a surveillance video of the incident in question. If Michael Irvin did in fact commit some sort of assault or other misconduct, then Marriott needs to release that video to the public immediately. That's all I've got for you today. Thank you for watching.